Welcome to the second episode of By My Bootstraps by Clayton Heron. I'm your host, Tiankum Outside, because I'm living like Tiankum, and I'm outside. Har har. On today's episode, we're going to be covering something, as usual, that is probably a huge trigger for a lot of people, and you're probably wondering why the camera was just zooming in on something that looks like a marijuana edible. The reason is because I realized that if I was going to make videos about this, I was going to have to be honest with you guys about something, and that is my drug addiction, what I'm addicted to. If you ever thought to yourself that a homeless person isn't addicted to something, you're definitely wrong. For me, it's pretty straightforward. You might not understand the label that I just showed you, but if you show it to anybody who does do pot, cannabis, ganja, marijuana, the devil's lettuce, giggle grass, the good herb, the bad bush, mota, grass, aka hemp, but the part that we want. That person will tell you that I just took an absolutely insane amount of edible. If you go ahead and look up what kind of edible professional comedians take, Joey Diaz takes something that is about 100 milligrams strong called the Star Destroyer, and one of the two edibles that I ate with a third one right before that off camera, each one of those is as strong as 7 Star Destroyers. So factually, including the one I took right before this, I just took 21 Star Destroyers, and you're about to see me go and have a regular day. The point I'm making is not that I'm really good at processing tetrahydrocannabinol as well as terpenes, although I think that point is made quite splendidly. The real point is, how is it that I'm affording all this? Because you cannot go from not using a lot of pot to suddenly using a lot of pot and expect to do anything with your day. Where factually, that same day, after taking that, I exercise, I do laundry. Off camera, I went to Buffalo Wild Wings and had a $22 absolute wing gorge fest. No, I didn't tip the server. But what I mean is, like, do you think that I should be able to do this? To be able to afford to do this very, very regularly. You know, normally I only eat 1 or 2 of those a day. But yesterday I kind of wanted to make the point that in no means am I out of money for drugs, and neither is any other hobo. Coming up in just a second, there's going to be a short clip that uses the original audio. I got some footage of geese. You'll want to listen into what they sound like. Oh, you heard me. It should be obvious at this point that one of the perks I enjoy most about this is being accountable to nothing. Because you can't normally just make any sound in public. But I can. Did I get you guys with that goose sound? I tried really hard to get you guys. I hope I did. Let me know in the comments. But anyway, back to, like I was saying, to me, it does not make sense. You know, definitely, you probably imagine to yourself, like, okay, I'm a guy who's got my stuff together, and then you start doing drugs, and then you become poor, and you can't stop doing the drugs because you're addicted, so you keep doing them, but you keep getting more poor, and eventually, bam, you lose everything, you're homeless, and then on top of it, you have to lose the drug too, right? Because you're completely homeless and destitute with no job, where actually, no, you get to keep the drug. And that's part of the point that I'm trying to make with this and the last video. You get to keep a lot of things, including your drug addiction. In fact, I mean, thinking about the genuine quantity of THC that is in those edibles, I have more pot now than I did before. And it's not like I was going easy before. Um, it's crazy. It's genuinely crazy. And I think part of the confusion, particularly with pot, is that we keep telling everybody that it's not habit forming. Well, habit forming is a different phrase than addictive. And I think I've kind of figured out the difference, right? Habit forming means, habit forming is like masturbation. You do it once at 8 p.m., and then the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that, your body automatically reminds you, hey, it's 8 p.m., here's an erection, you know what to do with it. You're addicted, and you have a habit that has been formed automatically. Where with cannabis, with pot, the reason that they have a time for smoking pot, 420, is because it doesn't actually remind you automatically. Your body doesn't habitually reorganize to prompt you to go smoke the pot. You have to notice that it's time to smoke pot. Oh, it's 420, it's the pot smoking time. Besides that, you might just want to get high every time you're not high, which is clearly addictive. That's clearly addiction. But because it's not associated with times and places the same way as triggers, technically you can say it's not habit forming. But I think that is a horribly misleading thing to say to somebody, and wildly misrepresents what is going to happen to your life if you start hanging out with potheads and smoking pot with them every day like I did in high school. Certainly that was the beginning of the death of my academic career. But I would honestly appreciate if maybe we reorient the way we think about this together. Which means that I need to be more honest with you. The marijuana that you just saw me take is the beginning of the things that I take in a day. Normally, I have massive cannabis edibles like that, pre-workout, premium pre-workout, $65 for a month supply of Firestorm pre-workout, which is like the good stuff. So I can afford that. Oh, and professional grade pro hormones. That's right. I can afford gear, not steroids because I'm afraid of needles, but basically testosterone boosting pills. Not great for your body, very expensive, very strong. At a certain point here, I'm going to zoom in on my BMI sheet and point out a gap where I got fatter. And that's because for 2 or 3 months in there, I was full-blown alcoholic. Meaning that I was drinking it was only like $8 a day. But you can buy 4 double shots, 99s, 99 proof, 99 brand and 99 proof, at the gas station, and use just that $8 worth to get totally blasted. If you do it right, which I did. If you can believe it, I didn't get into terrible shape at the time. You just keep working out. And it doesn't all go away super fast. Again, the point of saying this isn't to say, oh, boo-hoo, look at me, but look what I could afford. I could afford to drink every night and still eat really well. I could afford pot every single day in huge amounts. I could afford basically steroids. They're called designer steroids, so you might as well just call them steroids. I can afford a gym membership. I can afford to eat out at Buffalo Wild Wings. I can afford to do my laundry. So this might be a really big kind of change of perception for some of you, but just say it with me. You have a homeless friend who does not have a job and does not beg, who can afford to spend all day eating edibles, drinking alcohol if he wants to, eating, taking pre-workout, taking designer steroids. All of this is affordable to a literal hobo who happens to be American. And from my perspective, that seems like utter bullshit. That seems like complete BS. There's no way that this is normal, and there's no way that this is okay. It's not okay that I'm doing it, and it definitely wouldn't be okay if more people did it. If 100 more people did this like me, it might normalize it, but it doesn't make it something that the country should be supporting. There's no fucking way that the government is paying for this. That they are, basically. Kind of, because, well, think about it. All my money comes from plasma money and from my SNAP. So first off, the food from the food stamps comes directly from taxpayers. But also, the person who gets the product that's made by my plasma is a person who has a health defect they cannot change, and it has nothing to do with their lifestyle, meaning that their insurance completely covers it. And if we had good state insurance, then the state insurance would cover it too. That means that the money that pays the plasma center that goes into my wallet when I donate plasma is from insurance, which might be state insurance. And even if it's not, insurance companies are subsidized and bailed out by the federal government. They exist because of federal funding. Every dollar that I make, everything that I purchase actually does come from a taxpayer. Even the part where I sell my blood and get money, that was taxpayer money that got redirected and reoriented through a different system. But again, same thing. If you're fine with wondering if every hobo isn't buying designer steroids, if every hobo isn't buying massive edibles in bulk quantity from the local JB Hawks smoke shop, if you're wondering if the local hobo can afford to buy more than one entire rotisserie chicken every single day, stop wondering, man. He can. I can. And if you think that it's BS, call me out on it being BS. I'll do it on camera. This is it. It's surprising and confusing and frustrating how right everybody else was. This is not what I thought I was going to find in this scenario. I thought it's going to be miserable forever until you get good at like stoicism. I thought it's going to suck until I become religious and rededicate myself to discipline and God. Where the fact is, it is so pleasant and enjoyable and vacation-like out here that it's no wonder people choose this. It's no wonder that people would rather do this than tons of other things. It feels like a vacation. Like an actual vacation, not just like a break. Think about it. There's a difference between your weekend and a vacation that's 2 days. Your weekend, you're still there with your problems. With your vacation, you're separate from your problems. This doesn't feel like a weekend. It feels like actually being separate, like a vacation. I don't have to have a problem if I don't want to. I could stop walking into town or start walking into a different town. I have absolute decision-making power over my life. But instead of being forced to think survival-minded, now, I did have to think survival-minded in the winter often, very often. But gosh, now in the summer, I'm telling you, I have more time and energy and free time to sit and think and daydream and mess around. More of that than I know what to do with. And that has to, I'm pretty sure that's the situation for the other hobos too. You know what I mean? I haven't been doing this the longest. There's no way that I'm the best at it. I'm sure somebody has a better setup or a better pattern or whatnot, but that's not the point. The point is, look at this. Look at what I have and how utterly ridiculous it is that, from a certain perspective, a person who is essentially a dissident is able to afford so many amenities that do not come from me, that do not come from something that I made or something that I sold, certainly not something that I earned. It is my genuine opinion that a hobo should not be able to live like this without having gone through much greater effort than I'm going through. I think that whether or not we need political change regarding the poor and regarding homeless treatment is no longer a question. I think that my life and this experience should be the last shred of evidence that we need to realize who's actually playing who in the game of economy, workers, businesses, and homeless people. I used to think that the store owner was playing everybody else. And yeah, maybe some big businesses are. Could be. But I definitely know that we, the homeless, are playing them, for sure. The theft, the begging, the political lobbying on our behalf. When once again, we've chose it, we're choosing it, and it doesn't feel like misery. I don't feel pitiful. I don't feel miserable. Half the time, I don't even feel homeless. Having realized just how fake the desperation of homelessness is, just how fake and not real that is, I think I've learned enough from it. And so starting now, I am intending to step out of this. And I'm going to keep you posted on how that goes. I'm going to film some of it, and I'm certainly going to talk about it. But in my mind, the issue is settled. You do not have great reason to feel bad for homeless people and beggars. It probably used to make sense to feel bad for them, but today, it doesn't. And if it seems that I've glorified drug addiction or drug use in this video, I apologize. I will agree that I'm addicted, and that is something I'm going to have to deal with. But part of the issue is how addiction kind of works with you. You can't tell a homeless guy to give up his drugs, ever. That won't work. He can't convince himself to throw away his drugs or to get rid of his drugs. But if you pay close attention to the title of this video, there is an alternative that will still result in that individual finding himself without drugs in a very short amount of time. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to throw away my drugs just because I made a video about it. So instead, I took all the edibles at once. And lo and behold, I don't have any left. Fortunately for me, I have something much, much stronger than marijuana, and that's my pre-workout, which is at least 5 times as addictive as pot. I'm telling you guys, that stuff is really addictive. But again, truly, it would be healthier for everybody if people in this situation found that they could not afford to buy drugs, okay? The fact that a homeless person can buy this much pot or a ridiculous amount, I assume, of crack, things like heroin, meth, things like coke. If you can buy all that stuff, which you can, my buddies at the shelter did on occasion. But if you can't afford that stuff, you're going to buy it when you're homeless because you're bored. So call me crazy. But maybe a part of the issue with homelessness in the United States right now is that they have too much money. Because honestly, if I didn't have this much money, I wouldn't be doing this many drugs. If I could barely afford food, then I would be focused on affording food. But since I can afford so much more than food, every time I get a check, I'm like, what's that next fun thing I can buy with it? Not necessarily drugs. Sometimes the fun thing is Buffalo Wild Wings, as it was like 2 nights ago. But certainly, one of the very worst things that you can do is to make them think that the situation is okay and can be fun in the long term. So I'm telling you, the best thing that you can do if you see a homeless person holding up a sign begging for money is to look him dead in the face and tell him to go home and do all of his drugs tonight, all at the same time. Because then at least for one night, he'll have run out. And definitely don't give him any money because he's just going to buy more. If your friend doubts when you tell him this story, remember what we said before. I have a friend who's homeless on purpose. And without a job and without begging, he can afford all the pot he wants. He can afford to be blisteringly alcoholic if he wants to. He does buy steroids. He does buy pre-workout. And he buys fast food. Guys, just let the ridiculousness of all that sink in. And when they say, oh, but that's him and not other hobos, tell them they're full of shit. Because they are.